So this week, I am going to be going live every day and sharing a different myth around launching. I find that we have so many different thoughts, just so much like mental drama around launching specifically. And I want to be able to debunk some of these myths and to be able to offer an approach that is very heart-centered, it is very intuitive, but it also creates a really strong and solid foundation for you to build your launches off of that doesn't burn you out, it doesn't stress you out, it doesn't make you feel like you need a vacation afterwards, it doesn't feel like you need to like collapse or physically get sick after launches because it's like so much output in one time. I also want to kind of debunk what launching is and what it's not. Like, it's not just posting 2 times, 3 times more than usual, and it's not just posting a link up on your stories a couple times and then hoping someone buys. There is a very clear way of creating a launch, but there's also a lot that you can remix and make it your own. You can really become like so innovative, so creative, and gamify your launches, which is what I've done. I mean, if you were a part of Try Which tournament earlier this year, I had an entire tournament challenge that went for an entire month. I sorted everyone into houses. Everyone gained points based on their houses. Like, it was so fun. I have this way of creating launches and masterclasses and launch plans that don't burn me out. They don't stress me out anymore. And I want to talk about that with you this week. So that's what we're doing. This is launch myth number 1. This is the very first one that is going to be a part of this series of launch myths. And I have something coming super soon. I'm going to be announcing it next week. So stay tuned. There's going to be something that's coming, this next offer, that's really going to support you around this in a way that feels connected to you, very aligned to you, very choose your own adventure, and has the potential to literally bring in a majority of your revenue that can scale to 6 figures, multi-sales 6 figures. I created over $1 million of sales in my business from 2020 to now, and a majority of that has come through launching, which has meant I have launched a lot since I've started my business. All right, probably every other month or every 2 months since I started my business. I've launched so many different types of programs. I've launched high ticket masterminds, small ticket master classes, mini courses, an all access pass. I've launched so many things across the board, everything from, I think my lowest low ticket offer was around like $20, maybe like $33 to $100 to $200 to $500 to $900 to $1,000 to $55 was my signature course. Mastermind has been $10,000. Now it's $13,000. One-on-ones being upwards of $20,000. So I've launched and sold so many different types of offers, and I have had clients in so many different types of containers and programs. So I'm really excited to talk more about launching and really talk about what I'm seeing that people are doing, my students included, my past self included, that can really maximize. The way I see it is like, this might be your potential from like what you know about launching or what you're testing, and through how I'm going to teach you to think about launching, your maximum earning potential from launches can literally be infinite. Like, that sounds a little crazy when you hear it, but I'm serious. Like, it could be like, you can literally be like, oh yeah, I'm going to follow this and you know, maybe I'll make, you know, 10K from a launch, and it could blow you away and be like a 30K launch. I'm not kidding. This happens. It's not impossible, especially with launching. Like, if it's an open-ended, you're not capping it at a certain amount of students. It's a group program, right? You're teaching your methodology. You're really getting it out there. You're warming up your audience. They're hot. They're ready. They're on the edge of their seat. They're going, what are you selling? You tease them out. Like, that's the most fun, is the teasing part. And if you want to, like, you know, pay some close attention to my stories and my posts, I'm actually in the teasing phase right now for my course, and I'm sharing a lot of the behind the scenes with my mastermind and with the coven. So they're gonna get like bits of like, here's why I did this, here's why I did that. But if you want to stay and pay close attention, like, I am in that teasing phase for my upcoming offer, And this gets to be a really exciting time because you're warming people up. You're sharing a little bit, but not too much. So they're kind of like, I literally get DMs, even from my own students. Now I've told them a little bit about what they're planning. But in the past, when I've done this, my own students will be like, Tiffany, just tell me what you're launching. I can't take it anymore. Like, I don't want to watch your stories if I don't know what it is. So you can have so much fun. You can gamify it, right? Like try which tournament. You can look at like movies and games and all these things you're inspired by in your daily life. And as you start to hear more details about the course that I'm launching, about this new offer, you're going to see how I truly themeified and gamified the whole thing. And you're going to be like, oh my God, no one's ever done anything like this. Literally what I'm putting together, I haven't seen anyone create anything even remotely close to what I'm building. And that is a really important aspect of your launching strategy. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to put out a course on sales. I'm going to call it Sales 101. Or I'm a health coach. I'm gonna put out this course on, connecting to your health and eating better. And I'm gonna call it Eating Better Crash Course. It's like, no, you've gotta find a way to make it so fun and so exciting, because when you're lit up, you are more magnetic. And when you are magnetic, you bring in and attract and magnetize the people who are like, whoa, I've never seen anyone do it like this. That is something I gotta be a part of, right? So that's what I'm gonna be talking about this week. So stay tuned to my stories. I'm gonna be dripping out little hints here and there without revealing the full thing until next week. And it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be such a blast. And again, launches get to be fun. They get to be gamified. It doesn't just have to be like, okay, well now I gotta follow this formulaic robotic thing, and it turns very mechanical. It's very like, I gotta follow the rules and then I'll get what I want, right? And then what that ends up happening, especially if we have a little bit more perfectionism in us, if we have been conditioned by hustle culture, with like, who hasn't, right? It can turn into this like, well, I just have to do more, one more live, one more email. I'm not doing enough. Why are people not signing up? And it turns into this like punishing, kind of self-sabotaging cycle where we just get so hard on ourselves that we overwork, and then we burn ourselves out, and then we blame ourselves, or we become resentful of our clients and community for not buying, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like constantly refreshing the page when you're in a launch and wondering, what do I do wrong? What do I need to do more of? Do I need to sell harder? Do I need to go harder? It's like, that is not the bro marketing and bro sales way of approaching launches. Is not sustainable, and it doesn't align with feminine energy. All right. When you are in your feminine energy and you are aligning to your cycles, your bleed, your energy, your phases, your way of being magnetic, right? It's like there's some of the things I've done where I've made like crazy cash months. People will ask like, what was your strategy? What did you follow? What did you do? And I'm like, I was just my most lit up, sacral, magnetic self. I was creating this like wet, dripping energy. Everyone wanted to be a part of it. And they're like, so what did you do? I'm like, that's what I did. I manifested it. I am magnetic. I'm using my power, my energy, my personal power that has nothing to do with, I followed this to a T. Right? Now, with that said, there are still phases and a foundational understanding to launches, or else everyone would just be doing like, woo, whatever you want, just goes, right? Then we'd all be millionaires. We'd all have like $1 million launches, right? If you just do whatever you want and then you just rake in the cash, I mean, we would all have figured it out by now, right? But there is an actual foundational understanding to launches, and a way that then you get to remix it, and you get to add in your own energy, you get to play with it, you get to have fun with it, right? And then that mixed together, the yin yang of that, is what creates a beautiful launch experience, all right? So with that said, let's get into today's launch myth, which is myth number 1. Myth number 1 is I have to plan ahead super in advance. I have to have everything like created. But I'm a spontaneous person. I'm a very intuitive person. Ideas come to me last minute. How do I plan so far ahead so where I can do a great launch, but things come to me kind of last minute and they come to me as I'm going? How do I balance that? Let me know if you are someone who has thought about this or struggled with this, or if this has been something that's come up for you in the past. All right, so that's myth number 1. I'm gonna put it here in the comments so that we all know this is what we're focusing on for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about it takes an exhaustive time, energy, planning, so much output. I'm burning out. That's going to be tomorrow's launch myth. So come back tomorrow. I will be on live. I'll let you know the time in my stories so you can go and check my stories. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right. So number 1, feeling like you have to plan ahead, feeling like you have to, have everything all figured out, but you're a spontaneous person. Maybe you have ADHD like me. Maybe you are someone who's kind of a last minute person, right? Maybe you're someone who ideas drop in and you're open to downloads, but it's not like they just come on demand. You kind of wait, you want to wait for it to feel really good. Like you don't want to be out of integrity, but you also want to create something that's so aligned to you and you're passionate about it. You see the vision for it, right? But how do you do that while also creating a solid structure for what you're building? All right. So the way that I want you to think about this is I want you to create your own level of, so it's going to be a rhythm, right? It isn't just going to be like, okay, we're doing a little bit of planning, and then we're going to do a little bit of flow, or we're going to do a little bit of like the phases, but not all of them, right? So you want to first understand the foundational core phases of launching. So you want to understand that there is a phase where you tease your audience, you get them really warm so that you don't create something called product shock. Product shock is when you just announce a program out of seemingly nowhere. You haven't talked about it. You haven't really warmed people up for it. You haven't really dropped any breadcrumbs. You just announce it and then you expect people to just jump right in, right? Especially if the messaging isn't quite clear, especially if there hasn't been that warm up period, especially if you're not clear on who you're speaking to. It can just be like you put this thing out there and people are like, wait, what is this? Oh, wait, what? I don't understand what this is. I wasn't ready for this, right? It's like you really want to give people enough time to really understand what it is and to really help them be validated in if they're a good, if they're a best client for this program, right? So the way I see it is so let's just take when I invest in my own programs and masterminds, with my mentors, right? I like to make sure, is this for someone who is at the stage of business that I'm in? Is this speaking to someone who is way ahead of me or way behind me? I want to make sure I'm in the right range so that I am really understanding this material. And sometimes I'll still join something, even if it's meant for someone who's a little bit ahead, because then I can learn, or someone who's a little bit behind where I am, just for strategic reasons. Maybe it's something that I meant to learn, but I didn't, and maybe I want to master it, or I just want to get better at it, or I want to see how this person teaches. There's so many different reasons, right? But you want to kind of make sure that you are qualifying yourself. When you're going through someone's sales page, you're typically reading to make sure that this is a right fit for you, right? And so you want to make sure, okay, this person is speaking to someone like me, someone who's navigating this, someone who's making this much money, somebody who is wanting to create this but hasn't yet, someone who's maybe already created this. So for example, let's just take the Coven, which is my year-long all-access pass. It is a beautiful community of spirit-led coaches and service providers from all around the world, actually, and it is such a beautiful space. And this is a really intentional space for someone who's looking to grow to 6 and multi-6 figures. Now, if someone's already making 7 figures in their business, I can see how they'll still really get a lot out of the program, but maybe not as much as someone who is growing to the six-figure level, like six-figure coaches, service providers, guides, right? Leaders. This is really who the program is designed for. And that way, now I know that this is an umbrella. It's not just like one thing is for someone who's super brand new, and then one thing is for someone who's super high level. It's like everything is really geared towards this specific group of people who are looking to grow to six figures and looking to do so in my way. They resonate with my vibe, right? It is very spirit-led. It's very heart-centered. It's very intuitive. It's very sovereign, right? I love teaching my students to really tap into their own magic, their own potential, their own power. And that is how I teach, right? So that is a really big part of my vibe, my energy, my containers. So when you are thinking about who to speak to and as you are launching your program, you want to make sure that you know the person you're speaking to, the group that's like understanding of your best client. Okay, that's going to be a really important aspect of understanding who you're warming up. All right. So there's phases where you're teasing, you're hyping it up, you're warming up your audience, and then you release some type of, you could do a wait list, you can do an early bird, right? And then we get into a launch event. Now, it doesn't always have to be a masterclass, even though it can, right? You can do a Telegram group, you can do a broadcast channel, you can do, make something really fun. You can do like a YouTube series, you can do Instagram Live, which I've done before as a series. You can just send like emails, right? Like depending on your audience and your audience style and your energy style, you want to find something that works for you, which is why, up until now, the courses that I joined when it came to launches was very much like, here's the formula, follow the formula, and then you'll get sales, right? It's like, here's the formula, plug in what you want to plug in and go. But that doesn't work because we understand human design types and natal charts. We understand that there's some people who have more energy, and then even just looking at our own schedules, right? A stay-at-home mom or a mom that's got 1-2 kids or a single mom is going to have a different schedule than a 20-something that doesn't have any kids and has all the free time in the world, and this is their full-time job. Or maybe there's someone who works a full-time job and has kids and they're building out their business, right? Or maybe they just have a full-time job and they have this business but they don't have any kids. So you have to understand that there are different types of ways of launching that align to your lifestyle, your schedule, your energy. So the mom that's got 2 kids, right, versus the 20-year-old that doesn't have any kids but maybe has to take care of her family or whatever, they have very different schedules and very different ways of launching. And there are ways to really honor your schedule, your energy, your way of showing up in your business that are going to look different from person to person. That's why a one-size-fits-all launch formula doesn't work for everybody across the board. You really have to take into account your own identity, your energy, your offer. Even when I launch offers within my own product suite, the way I launch a high-level mastermind versus a lower ticket masterclass looks very different. The timeline is different. The messaging might be different. The clients I'm speaking to are different. So you really want to identify what those things are, your own schedule, your own energy. And this is just what a lot of people who teach launching haven't considered, right? And to expect that everyone across the board has a lot of free time, wants to show up in this way, wants to create in this way is just not sustainable. And it's not inclusive to all different types of people who want to create in different ways, okay? So it's really important to identify this and to really figure out what can you honor. And I'll be honest, this is something that takes a little bit of experimentation and evaluation to figure out. It's not like you just jump into launching and then you know exactly your energy, you know exactly how much time. Sometimes you've got to go into it and then be like, oh, yeah, I really pushed it with my energy. Now I know moving forward, I don't want to do a 2-week launch, or I don't want to do a launch where I go live every single day. I want to mix it up with my content. I want to do a 1-week launch. I want to do this live masterclass. This worked really well for my audience. This is where my ideas come through. It's like there's so many things that you kind of have to tweak and play with, which is why I always tell my students launches are a long game. It's not about one great launch one time. Who wants that? Right? Even if you can't, even if you had a great launch, but you can't replicate it, there's no point in it. You want to learn from your launches over a period of time, and they begin to compound with one another. So let's say your launch during Q1 of this year helped your launch in Q2, and then your launch in Q3 was the results of the data from Q1 and Q2. So you are now creating this process of launches. So when you get to your 10th launch, it's not square one, even if it's a brand new program, by the way. You are taking all the data you've learned from launches 1 to 9 into your 10th launch. So now by that point, you know who you're speaking to. You know how to show up. You know what kind of content and what you want to plan ahead versus what you want to do in the moment, right? So this goes into this launch myth for today, which is I've got to plan way ahead for my launches, but I'm an intuitive person. I'm a spontaneous, spirit-led person. So what I like to do is have those foundations that work for you, that are solid structures in your business, which means maybe you plan out your deadlines and your timelines ahead of time. You know what your launch is going to look like. Maybe you download half of the curriculum for the actual program, and that way you're not scrambling last minute to create the curriculum and launch and send out the emails and deliver the program all at once. What I find hurts most people during a launch is when you shove multiple phases into one phase. By the time your cart opens, you should have emails prepped, right? If that's what you've decided to plan ahead of time. You should have a masterclass that's been already promoted and people already signed up for that you just deliver, and then the cart opens at the end and you get to pitch your offer, right? You shouldn't be planning and figuring out dates and deadlines. You should have already known that ahead of time to tease it for a week, hype for a week, right? Waitlist or early bird is already open for a week. So by the time cart is open, you can have 5 figures in sales, right? This is what I do for most of my launches. By the time cart opens, I already did a pre-sale. I already did an early bird, and I made 4 or 5 figures, right? It could have been, I've done like 10K, 20K before the cart even opens. So that way, when cart opens, you're like, wow, I already have a line out the door, right? I already have a line out the door. People already are inside the program. So now when I'm marketing it, I can already say, hey, these are the people who are already in the room, right? Like that's what makes it so much more exciting, is like, and also your energy is a little bit more grounded because you're like, I already have these amazing people that have signed up, right? And so you go into selling and launching and marketing in a way that is less graspy, in a way that is less like, I need people to say yes, right? It's like you already go into it with this energy of like, I got this. People already want this offer. People are already buying it. I've already made money from the launch, and it's just day one. It's just cart open. Imagine how much more energy and magnetism you would have going into it, knowing that you've given yourself this spacious time, right? And another thing is you don't have to have the title. There are things that you can plan ahead for, and there are things that you can kind of wait a little bit, right? And there can also be a time period between the end of your launch and the start of your program. So you can have all the people in and not have your program completely finished yet. I've done this pretty much most of the time, is I'll just have the launch, have everyone in, and then develop the curriculum, right? So, or what I've done for this launch that I'm going to be announcing next week, so stay tuned for that, is I have all of the modules, all of the, like the details, but I haven't written out word for word what I'm going to cover. I have bullet points on exactly what I plan to cover. It's going to be 6 modules. So from module 1 to module 6, I know exactly what's happening in each of these modules, but I haven't like created all the slides. I'm not pre-recording it because I'm actually teaching it live, right? So the coven is going to get access to this course live. And that's something that I'm going to be delivering for them on live calls on a weekly basis for 6 whole weeks, including like Q&As and different things. I'm going to give them some different bonuses, right? So that's what I like, because I'm also, you know, as I'm selling, as I'm marketing, I do like things to come to me in terms of content. I'm still doing some market research. So there's a lot that I'm pulling that's going to help me create the curriculum for this program. So the program is not created just yet, but my launch plan is created. And I know enough about the program to sell it. If I didn't know what I was selling, I didn't know the energy, I wasn't tapped in, I wasn't sure who this was for, I would not start launching it, right? But I know who this is for. I know what the program is going to be about. I know what problem it's going to solve or how it's going to help people elevate. I know what the transformation is already. I know that it's going to be an open-ended program, meaning as many people as would desire, as many people are as meant to be a part of this container can join. It's not capped at a certain number, right? So all of these things are decided. I know exactly what date I'm launching it. I know exactly what I'm going to do for, you know, I'm still building out like the masterclass, some things like that, right? But at the same time, all of the important things like the times, the deadlines, I'm doing a price increase, right? That's already decided. I already decided I'm going to do a wait list instead of a early bird, right? So I'm going to have the wait list, and I'm going to have a place to capture the wait list. And I already know majority of the content. I've already built out majority of the content beforehand, right? So do you see how I'm leaving some things open to, you know, downloads still coming in, still being open? I believe that I am an open channel for all of my offers. And I truly believe that we are like, our offers choose us, right? The spirit of our offers choose us. So we get to decide, like we get to listen to and honor the spirits of these offers that are coming through, right? And so I like to leave enough room for that, but I have enough that's decided so I can start talking about it. I can start selling it. I feel confident doing so because there's enough information that I've already downloaded in order to get on a live and talk about it and be like, all right, something's coming. It has to do with this and this. It's coming next week, right? I'm going to be announcing it, and then I'm going to announce a wait list, right? I already have the entire schedule laid out, and I'm currently in the teasing phase, or I'm currently in that phase. So it's important to have the structures that are going to hold you in terms of dates, what you're going to be doing, but exactly how you're doing it, I believe those are things that can come a little bit later, especially when it comes to the curriculum, especially when it comes to maybe even specific pieces of content. But you have to be the kind of person that is going to go out there and test it. You have to be the kind of person who is going to go out there and really figure out what works best for you, right? Because just like I mentioned that there are different types of launches, for example, the stay-at-home mom with 2 kids versus the 20-year-old that has lots of free time, right? Your launch plan and schedule and the execution of content is going to look very different along with your energy, right? So you might be someone who loves to write and you've got an amazing email list going, and social is not really the biggest primary part of your social media marketing plan. So maybe what you do is you batch your emails ahead of time, and then you leave a couple of emails open to be written during launch, right? Or maybe you mostly sell on Instagram like me, and you send some emails that's still a part of your strategy so you can nurture the list, but mostly you're going live and you're also creating carousels. So what you also want to do is you want to appeal to different types of buyers and learn learners on your platform. Instagram is great for this because you not only have stories, you have lives, you have carousels that people can read and swipe through, you have captions where you don't even have to do a Canva carousel. You can just do a photo and then in the caption, you can sell. There's also the DMs, so you can go back and forth in the DMs. Instagram also has story stickers and countdowns and polls where people can be interactive with you and click and slide and get their input in to make it accessible, make it fun for them as well. Right? So there are so many different ways that you can do this. If someone just likes to read, you can do stories where you're not talking face to story. You are just writing out text on the story where it's not too much, right? But it's just enough so they can read it, tap, read a little more, tap, read more about the program, tap, and then maybe join your waitlist or join your masterclass, right? That's also a great thing you can do in captions. Or if you're someone that loves to speak and someone is more of an audio listener, right? They like to listen. So that's why I have a podcast, because I both love to speak and my people love to listen. And it is a great way for me to reach my more audio centered, audio focused buyers. So I create podcast episodes whenever I'm in launch, and I batch those ahead of time to go out on certain days. So I don't have to worry about creating, editing, recording, which I don't edit anyway, but while I'm in launch, right? So you want to really identify what are some things that you enjoy doing and that you want planned ahead of time, and what are some things that you would love to be in the energy of while you're in launch. Again, where I see most people getting tripped up is when they put multiple phases into one phase. And I'm going to be teaching the exact foundational phases of a launch inside this next offer that's coming next week. So stay tuned on my stories. I'm going to be sharing all the details, how you can join, all of that good stuff. All right. And what I really want to teach is a technique, is a way of creating fun, gamified launches that are choose your own adventure. So it doesn't have to do with following my way of launching or someone else's way of launching. You might have more time than I do, right? You might not be a single mom like me, right? Or maybe you have, maybe you have a kid, but maybe you've got, a nanny, or maybe you have a partner that can help take them half the time or something like that, right? Or maybe you just work. So it's just about navigating work and your business, right? So depending on your schedule, your energy, your lifestyle, and what you're offering, you create a custom launch plan for your specific offer. Now, that isn't just one plan that you just replicate with all your offers. If you're launching something new down the line, let's say you plan to do a mastermind and you get a mastermind together, which is higher level, maybe it's like in the multi 4 figures or 5 figures, that launch plan will also be custom to that mastermind, right? Like the way that I sold my signature course, Business Activation Academy, which is now the Coven, is very different from how I launched Magic Mind, which is my higher level mastermind for guides and leaders and different women entrepreneurs, coaches, service professionals who are working with clients at a more of a higher level. They're growing to, multi 6 figures. They've already been working with clients. They already have a signature offer or offers. They want to build out their product suite. They want to scale, right? They're ready for monthly, like multiple recurring revenue, right? They're ready for all of that in their identity. They're ready to be coached about that. They're ready to show up and go all in and take the brave action and be able to participate in challenges like 10K in 30 months, right? And revolutionize their product suite. Think about their movement in a really big way, right? I'm not able to do that with someone who's just started their business because they just need to sign their first clients, right? So the mastermind is someone who's ready to nail and master these things. They're ready to go. In fact, they're like looking for something like this. So the way that I would launch to a mastermind and how I would speak to best clients of my mastermind would be very different than someone who's maybe joining something a little bit lower ticket or something that is geared towards a different type of stage in their business, right? So there are things that you want to have planned out and really identified, and there are things that you want to allow to still come to you and still be an open channel for those things. Like, it's important to still be an open channel and still allow yourself to be intuitive and to be spiritual and be spontaneous. Another thing that's been really supportive is whatever time I feel like I need, I give myself more time than that. Whatever time I feel like is important for me to have, I like to create even more spaciousness, right? So that I'm not, scrambling last minute, so that I have enough time. And I also like to discover, I also like to plan out ahead of time what I'm working on in the back end and what is going out to the public in the front end. So I'll just give you an example. Right now I'm in the teasing phase for the launch, and I'm going to be announcing an offer next week. Right? And so in the front end, I'm teasing, I'm dropping content, right? I'm doing this live on Launch Myths, right? So I'm putting content out there that is kind of dropping hints and also giving people value for them to stay hooked. So for example, you want to come back tomorrow for myth number 2, where we talk about this big myth that launches have to be super exhaustive and you have to burn yourself out, and it's a lot of output, go, hustle, urgency, get people in through the door, and then afterwards you want to collapse and you get sick because your body's so tired. How can you do it a different way? I'm going to debunk that myth tomorrow, so you're going to come back for that. And then Wednesday, I'm doing myth number 3, which is I have to talk about the same topic in 100 different ways. How do I do that in my launch content? How do I write launch copy? How is that different from regular copy? So I'm going to do that on Wednesday, right? So in the front end, I'm teasing, I'm dropping hints, content, right? Talking about the transformation, and I'm letting people know, hey, by the way, stay tuned. I have something coming that is going to support you in a beautiful, innovative, custom way. All right. In the back end, I am working with my team. I'm getting graphics done. I'm batch recording podcast episodes and emails. I'm building out the curriculum for the program. I'm also letting people know inside my program, the Coven, because if you're unfamiliar, the Coven is my year-long all access pass. So the Coven already gets access to this course that's coming. So in order for them to make sure their calendars are marked off and that they get a front row live seat, which they already do, I'm making sure that they have all the calendar information. Emails are going out to my students. They're able to block those times off because I've already set the schedule inside the calendar. It starts October 2nd, right? So even though there are some pieces I'm still building out in terms of the course, I know when it's starting. I know when the deadlines are. I know what needs to happen and when, in order for this to be a successful launch. Now, the exact things, some of the specific, the masterclass, I'm still building out pieces of the masterclass because I like being open for things to kind of come as I'm launching, but I know what day the masterclass is going to be on. I know that I'm doing a wait list instead of an early bird, and I know that I'm doing the wait list in a really exclusive, fun way, and I'm also giving the people on the wait list a huge chunk off of the official price. So I already know all of those things, and I'm setting them in motion, and I already have them planned out so that those are all structured into the schedule. Now, there are still some pieces that are coming out, right, that are allowing me to have fun, to play, right, to still receive downloads. So I am still definitely in that mode of receiving content, receiving downloads for this offer, for this program. I'm building out the curriculum, but I know what I'm working on in the front end. I know what needs to happen in the back end. And especially with things that take a little bit longer time, like having graphics created, building out the curriculum, things that I want to have ready for when I do live things. So for example, I'm teaching a live masterclass as a part of this launch. So I want to make sure I have those notes ready. And if I decide to do slides, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So if I do, I want to make sure I have those ready ahead of time, so I'm not scrambling last minute going, oh my God, I have a masterclass coming up in 3 days. Now I got to create the slides last minute. I don't want to put myself in that energy of rush, because one of the energies that I really like to embody during my launches and in general when I'm selling is luxuriousness, right? I have luxurious, spacious time. I have the ability to have conversations back and forth in the DMs with someone who's interested, right? Like, I love that spaciousness. I love that autonomy. I love the flow. I love that being in power, having that freedom, right? In order to do what I need to do, and then also to have the space to download what I want to download, right? And that's important to me as well. Yeah, so essential. I have no patience. Yeah, and it's like you get to build and compound your launch. Like, launching is a skill. All right. I don't know about you, but like, we don't just go into entrepreneurship having the skill set of launching, right? I didn't have the skill set of building a team and being a boss. I've only ever been an employee, right? And like, not even like a high level one. Like, I was, there are things that we have to build and cultivate, and it's normal. And I wish more of us would talk about launch fails and flops and all the things that we've learned from launching, because I can tell when somebody has created, like, let's say $1 million in their business, I just know they have a bucket, like warehouse load of, mistakes and things that they've learned from, which are crucial to becoming a really great launcher, a really great business owner, a really great entrepreneur, right? And that's why I really emphasize with my students know this inside Magic Mind and inside the Coven, that a really big piece of our work together is, evaluating what they're doing, and especially when it comes to launches, sales calls, sales phases, offers, delivery. You're evaluating what's happening inside your business so that you are aware of what you want to do moving forward. If you're just going, and you have no time for self-reflection, you're not meditating on it, you're not evaluating what's going on. If you had a launch where you're like, that did not go as planned, I did not get the result I desired, and you don't know why, that's a problem, right? You have to know moving forward what exactly happened, what you don't want to create again, and what worked with your energy, what didn't work with your energy. It isn't enough to just be like, that didn't go as planned, I hate launching now. Right? Or like, I'm never gonna launch again. Like, I'm just gonna do it differently. Like, fuck launching, right? Like, we have to process our emotions, right? Because there can be a lot of disappointment and rejection and sadness and even, resentment and frustration or even anger, right? That comes up during launches, especially when you grow and you have bigger audience or more people looking at you, right? I'll have people who are like, yeah, I'm planning to join this thing. I'm going to be in the next round. And the next round comes around and it's like crickets. Right? Or like, yeah, I'm going to work with you. I'm so excited to work with you. And then they just completely back out and ghost you. That just happens with a business, right? It's like, those are things that happen. And of course they can be frustrating, of course, like, and there can be people who are like, yeah, I'm so excited. And they're like, actually, no, I can't for this reason or for that reason, right? And so there's a lot of emotions to process during a launch, especially because when we're a heart-centered entrepreneur, we're not just launching random shit. We're like, oh, I created this thing that is my heart and soul, and I'm intentional. Every time I create an offer, I drop into the container, the energetic container that I'm holding. I create this safe space. I create this grounding around the offer energetically. I channel how to talk about it. I'm connecting with spirit and universe and source, and I'm connecting with the future spirits and energies with those clients meant to be in that container. And then I'm downloading, I'm writing, I'm planning the launch, I'm planning the curriculum. It's like heart and soul. It's like, I made you this thing from my heart and soul, my energy, and I love it so much. Will you be a part of it? Right? And it could be really difficult sometimes to detach when someone's like, no, I'm not joining anymore. I was planning to, but I'm not. Or I thought it was a yes, but it's actually a no. Or I don't have the time right now. I'm sorry, I plan to. And learning to not take that personally and not make it mean anything about your worth as a person, right? It's like you and your art. And there's always going to be some type of connection you have to your art, because we are heart-centered business owners, right? This is an extension of your heart, and it's an extension and evolution of your soul's purpose, right? But at the same time, You have to learn how to process those really uncomfortable emotions. I always like take no's as like, okay, I'm getting closer to a yes, right? Or someone can say no for now, and then they come back around when they're ready and be like, you know what? I'm a yes, I'm ready. That's happened so many times with me. So not taking any of it personally, not making it mean anything about me, not making it mean that I'm right or wrong or good or bad or any of those things, right? Really identifying like, where can I tap into my personal power around this and allow myself to just be the leader that I desire to be? I really see launches as lessons that we get to learn to really, it's like boot camp training, right? It's like training as a leader to become the leader that you desire to be, right? It's like you ask God, you ask the universe, like, okay, I'm ready for my next level. I'm ready for, 2xing my income. I'm ready for that monthly recurring stacking revenue. I'm ready for new clients. And then it's like, okay, you go through a hard launch and then you're like, oh God, universe, why? Why'd you do this to me? And it's like, no, universe is like, that was the training period. That was the boot camp for you to become the leader that you are meant to be. And here you're meant to extract all these lessons. But instead we're like, oh my God, it didn't go as planned. I hate launching. No one wants to buy my stuff. No one's gonna pay this price, right? And that's also the importance of being in a community where you're constantly being coached. You're constantly having your mindset checked, right? You're constantly being coached and you're on the top of your game mentally. Because if you're not on the top of your mindset game, it's going to be so easy to, with the first limiting belief that comes up, no one wants to buy this, no one wants my program, people can't afford this, my best clients don't want this, right? I don't know about my blah, 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 blah. You're going to go into a spiral and it's going to be really hard to dig yourself out of versus you're in a community, you're with other people who are expanding, who are growing, who are getting coached just like you. It is so powerful to do that. And that's what the Coven is. The Coven is such a beautiful community, especially if you're going to six figures, you're going to multi-six figures. Right now it's at only $777 a month for an entire year. And if you're more of a higher level, you're like, get me that in-depth, really, really close proximity coaching, planning, workshopping, then Magic Mind Mastermind is your fit. So if you're ever curious about, should I join this one or should I join that one? I'm more than happy to chat with you in the DMs, more than happy to jump on a call, more than happy to have that conversation. And stay tuned for next week. Something's coming very, very soon on supporting you around launches, around creating a majority of your revenue through successful launching that is aligned to your energy, your schedule, your lifestyle, and your offers. So you get to go through the phase again with one offer and then say 1 year from now, you create a completely different offer. You get to go through, the material, and then you get to plan out that other offer, which might be a completely different launch plan and a completely different launch, like energy, right? Content is different. Best clients are different because you're also evolving, right? We can't just rinse and repeat the same thing over and over. We're essentially using the energy that we've had in the past, right? You want to talk about what's alive for you now, what's magnetic right now for your specific offer. So I'm really excited for this new offer. Stay tuned, keep up with my stories. I'm going to be sharing most of it on my stories and then on my feed as well. And if you have any questions, my DMs are always open and you can come back tomorrow. I'm going to go live again in the morning around noontime. And we're going to be talking about myth number 2, which is it takes an exhaustive amount of time to launch. It's so easy to burn out. It's so easy to just collapse afterwards, and how to rewrite that and how to debunk that myth. All right. Thank you for tuning in to myth number 1, the I have to plan way ahead. If you're jumping in a little bit later, this is going to be a replay on my feed. So I highly recommend watching from the beginning, especially if you are someone who is afraid of launches or you're kind of hesitant for your next launch because you feel like you have to plan ahead so far in advance and you want to be this more intuitive, spontaneous person. This is a really great live for that. All right. Mwah. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you tomorrow. That will also be on my feed for myth number 2, which is going to be all about it takes an exhaustive amount of time and energy to plan, which is so not true. We're going to be talking more about that tomorrow. All right. Love you. Thank you for being here. Mwah. Bye.